Alright, today is day 6, April 2023. We'll try to have a conversation, quite simple, quite clear, considering the summit about the international financial system that involves all central banks and the International Monetary Fund. Of course that, as a creditor with the value as 37 trillion, pretty affordable with the interest on it as judicial interest to apply the law against the offenders. And there are many offenders, but almost the same, with criminal practice, violations of guarantees, basic rights, not only in Brazil. You will observe as real time that the Article 5 of the Brazilian Constitution that guide the Brazil and the relations that Brazil go along, including the Security Forum, says that foreigners have the right as basic right and guarantees mostly the same as Brazilians in Brazil. The clause number 4 says that the expression of thoughts is freedom. You can't deny, you can't set an order against the social media in USA, violating the US preamble and the entire history of that society. It's against our constitution too. The clause number 9 as guarantee number 9 says that the expression of the intellectual activity is free. You can't block, you can't cut my social media, my internet, my communication, everything you did, that curve that puts you in a systematical thing without excuse, charged by law under constitutional conformance, not only in Brazil. And then you don't like to pay, you wouldn't like to pay. It's a white collar crime, my dear offender. The house you can violate. Guarantee number 11. Guarantee number 12, you can violate the data, steal information, block the intellectual activity as work or duty or even cooperation with the international arena, and steal the data doing the plagiarism to raise or have the continuity and a desperate way of this filth, criminal and evil system, named a trust scam with variance through public corruption and peers linked with clustered at the public budget or budget in Brazil at least since 2007. And the guarantee number 13, the work as activity or things you do is free. You can't block in the way you are doing. You are violating equally civil rights, criminal system Brazil and peers linked with. And when our community as international requests the guarantee number 33, saying that is free the right to receive information from public departments about everything you did and how you will pay the 37 trillion charge with regression segmented through institutions according with the Article 37, paragraph number 6, until have the chairs on it in solidarity by fails and silence according with the as integrated fail 74, with distribution and redistribution of power by multi-level and associations on it, such in the Ponzi scam. Observe the violation on Article 23, Item 1. You are wrong, I think. Then we have the summit as banks, central banks, and a coffee. Next week, days 11 April up to 15 And you such a hoax, I couldn't go to my beach house yet because probably will try something at my private living considering yourself untouchables and you can violate the interests all around the globe, such a huge instability, do all things wrong and have the fake records and the stamp of a criminal. That's part of this criminal system integrated by criminal purpose, including the silence. And we are having the application of the transnational organized crime in Brazil as international application of the domestic law 11,850 Articles 1, 2, and 3. It's the public department doing the fake records on the criminal law Article 313A by procedures abusive as systematic and sequential architecture of illegal acts, criminal activity and public department. Law 13,869, Article 22 up on, I think. You will take a look that we had our model presented in the judicial court, America and UK judicial power through Eurosystem by my second nationality, and indeed nowadays I think that is the first and only one, as Portuguese, because I have no ties with this filth criminal system Brazil that worth nothing. And it's like this, the knowledge and attributes to understand how the collinear thing goes systematically until you have the cross-cut as purpose, treason, the premises or the state power, and in general go like this. And on April 7, 8 and 9 we are having this, we are with a difficult time to do our effort on a coffee. Central banks, IMF creditor of 37 trillion plus interest, for instance, apply 44 trillion as financial penalty by the hoax because worth nothing. Central Banks and IMF Summit, April 11 up to 15, 2023. Issue number 1 of this moral entity, already recognized, setting the structure and made the hell on earth to have this payroll covered with the paycheck used for individualization. We already did, and we don't have the need as dismissal list anymore, something like this. Only the prisons against the offenders. It's the law, it's the interest of the American and the Euro system, or even the Asia, apply the penalty against those criminal offenders. And it doesn't matter if it's your boss, the Ministry of the Supreme Court, it's a criminal. And also the criminal organization, because it's a corrupted authority inside the criminal system. 1. Organized crime is based on cybercrime to have the interconnected at transcontinental level, according with the Mr. Jürgen Stott, UNODC and Interpol, United Nations Office about Drugs and Crimes, going at your ministry, at the Supreme Court, or chief, or even board member or director. How this player has autonomy with dependence in a lot of things, including the collinear perception as stimulation through corruption? It's a good question. Number 2, fake record scam and public stamp ensure security of organized crime, plus paramilitary intimidation, suppression, and all things we had to face and live through. And security of organized crime activities, but took welfare state and citizenship, and also basic rights and guarantee as proved not only by me, by my interests, but also the inequality, the moral entity and the states and international community claiming their guarantee 33 on Article 5, Brazil. You fail one more time, and again and again. Number 3, there are no liquidity problem. Of course that there are no liquidity problem. Has a mental problem indeed. It's the cretinismus brasilis, as you could have You know, another prize, another one. There are no liquid problems, but lack of will, OECD, Mr. Drago Coles complained this. Rule of thunder. There are no institutions able to have decision against the organized crime without being affected by the decision against the organized crime. How they got there? Blind Eye Association is one of the director and special concern around the Federal Bureau of Investigation and capacity to broke mental model of criminality from the top at regular institutions in the arena including the IMF and central banks. It's the financial system. Set our model, quite simple. Number 4, monetary basis, globally speaking, is to cover business and activity, the family, the wealth cycle, regular. There are no wealth in criminality, only guiltiness, suffering, pain, and blood. It's the blood money. Laundry and now criminal scams trying, to have the coverage, but they set gaps, and we are having the model here. Take a look. Blue line, business activity. Headline, it's the illegal and criminal activity all around, setting gaps by the insertion and replacement. And as you can observe, the black line is the capacity of the financial system to will the wealth cycle as real business. But if you consider, like you do in general by dishonest intellect, that you must take only this area that is beyond the limits of the capacity as payment and set the order, you are having no capacity to cover because the criminal activity can't exist. The entire headline must disappear. The medication is here at this matrix. Seizure, prison, and close illegal activity by judicial order, since the judges and the judicial power have the capacity, the mental intelligence to do this, are offering this, including the entire thing. And the decision made by a machine, you only have to declare, the order, because the machine can do, must be the judicial power. And I can do, I'm not a judge, I'm just a simple and humble creditor, alone and poor. So, which will be the excuse at the IMF summit to do not bomb this trust scam? See? Big lies, big consequence. Have a nice holiday.